In this video, we're going to go over a basic select statement. Select is used when you want to retrieve or read from a database. So for those who are new to databases, a database is on a server, and a server contains a database or a collection of databases. So here we're going to use the AdventureWorks database, and what the select statement allows you to do is select from the tables within that database. So we're going to open a new query window, and the basic syntax for a select statement is select star from a table. The star you might hear, or asterisk, means to select all of the columns from that particular table. Now, from means the object that you're selecting from. You can select from tables and also views. But for this example, we're just going to use tables. So this is the basic semantics for a select statement. Now we're going to write an example query. So we're going to write select star from, and we'll just pick the product table and execute. So now what we've done is we selected all the columns from the product table, production.product table. Now generally when you're doing your data analysis, or if you're writing some code for an application, you don't want to pull back all of the columns. It's also better for performance if you just pull back the columns that you need. So we're going to go over the syntax for writing a query with multiple columns. Your query is going to look like select column 1, comma, column 2, comma, column 3, and no comma after column 3. And after your last column, you always want to not have a comma. This will give you an error for syntax. And when you're writing your SQL, you want to generally line up your columns vertically. This makes it easier for troubleshooting later on in case you have a large amount of code. So this is how your general SQL statement will look. Select your columns from your object. It could be a table or a view. So we're going to use this same query from above. And we'll just comment that out. And now, instead of selecting all of the columns, we're going to select the first two columns. So we're going to select product ID and product name. Product ID, comma, name. And we want, well, let's add one more. Product number. And after product number, we don't want to have a comma. We click execute, and now we've only returned 3 columns from the database. Now to just show you what happens if you add a comma here, it will give you incorrect syntax near the keyword from. So that's what that error means. You have a comma in the wrong place. Now, if you're writing code for an application or some database development, It's generally good practice to identify what database you're using before you start writing your code. Here I've located the database within my SQL Server Development Studio, but when you're developing applications, you're not going to know, the application's not going to know where to point. So you want to write some code at the top of your code for good practice. So we're going to say use and select your database, AdventureWorks, and go. So let's comment that out first and run it without that statement, and you see what you get. It says invalid object name production.product. So that means it doesn't know where production.product is. So you need to tell your code where to look on the server. So use this database, go, and now your code shows up. And this is the basic syntax for select statement.